Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting Channel 22 sports presentation. Although the graphic shows that this is West Torrance versus the Hawthorne Cougars, we do know that's incorrect because we're at Olympian Field, home of the Leuzinger Olympians. I'm Rufus Washington, joined by my colleague, Dave Marks, and we got a lot to share with you. But to set the table for tonight's contest, this is the Olympians, Dave, against the Warriors. Two teams with 1-3 records, 0-1 in Bay League competition. Somebody looking to get off the schneid tonight and up their winning record.
Yes, Rufus, and last week both of these teams played two of the more competitive teams in the Bay League. West Torrance losing to Peninsula, who are the odds-on favorite to win the Bay League again, and Leuzinger losing to Miracosta, who are one of the preseason favorites. The key for the game tonight for West Torrance, they are a rebuilding team. They come over from the Ocean League. They're now, of course, here in the Bay League. They were 5-2 last year, which is good for third in the Ocean. They're 7-6. They lost a lot of key people in the offense. The key for Leuzinger, they do not pass the ball, they don't kick the ball, but they're going to have to get a lot better play in the secondary tonight.
And there's our opening kickoff taken by one of the up-back at about the 25-yard line. Brings it out to the 33, where it'll be 1st and 10 for the Warriors of West Torrance.
And if tradition holds, as Leuzinger goes on defense for the first time tonight, the strength of their defense are their linebackers in their front line. The weakness of the defense are the defensive backs. We've only seen them one time this year on Channel 22, and that was when they lost on the first ball game that we did on the road, and they were eaten up in the air. The first play from scrimmage was a pass play that went for about 70-some-odd yards by a little wide receiver who was no more than 5'1". So for Leuzinger, the defensive backs are going to have to come up big tonight against a team that is going to want to reestablish itself in the passing offense with Jim Toady at quarterback.
And Toady, a good passing quarterback, throws a swing pad out into the right flat. Reception made for a short gain. It's going to make it a 2nd and long for West Torrance. This gives me a chance to tell you fans that, first of all, I'm glad to be back in the booth here at Channel 22. Had a bit of a contract dispute with the management of Channel 22. They wanted to pay me, and I wanted to do this for free, Dave. I told them, I said, you haven't paid me for 12 years, why start now? And they insisted I take a check, so my people had to talk to their people. We got it all worked out. I still don't get paid, but they still get to use my services.
Well, Rufus, you're the first person that's ever gone on strike to not get paid. That's a man-bite-dog story.
2nd and 8 for the Warriors. This time they keep it on the ground and lucky to get back to the line of scrimmage. But as they say in hockey, folks, all's well that ends well, and hey, daddy's home. So I'm glad to get started, get the 2000 season started, and I know Dave has filled in very capably with his always valuable insight. And in fact, some good fortune as a result of his services here at Channel 22 have come this way. So things are going well for all of us, and we hope as well for you. And if the Olympians, there's still a chance left in this season, although it's 1-3. Tonight would be a good night to get on the winning track, Dave, as they beat the same team last year by a margin of 44-21. Toady, the quarterback, under center, drops back to pass, looks left, throws left, he's got a person, and his receiver makes a diving catch as he stretches out for that, Dave. Beautiful reception by Ahmed Nassouf on that play, gives him a first down.
Well, we talked about the Leuzinger weakness on defense being giving up the home run ball, as we're going to see this again. This is not so much a defensive weakness. The weakness is in it, he got that wide open. He beat his man, which I believe was Victor McClendon that he beat. Well, no, actually, it's Ellis Vernon that he beats on the play. Ellis Vernon, number 24. But, of course, in order to complete it, he had to make the spectacular catch. So I guess the bad news from the defensive point of view is the fact that he got burned like toast, but in order to make it good, he did have to come up with a specky of a catch, and it's a big first down for West Torrance.
Still first quarter action, 1st and 10. Big hole opens up in the middle. They pick up about 9. They may even have picked up a first down on the play as they get down near the 15-yard line.
And that, of course, is Justin Candelaria on the carry. When West Torrance goes to the ground game, the West Torrance Warriors, you are going to see quite a bit of Justin Candelaria. He is their leading ball carrier, and he is the key to the offense on the ground for a team that lost an all-area wide receiver in Keith Allen Keith Allen was an all-area wide receiver last year. He led the South Bay in receiving for 2 years, and they also lost running back Ryan Jones. So senior Justin Candelaria, who carried for big yardage that time, is going to have to come up big tonight for West Torrance.
Well, Leuzinger's air defense already being punished here in the first quarter. Tody goes to the air again, throws it, short yardage on the play. Well, let's talk for a minute, Dave, and you saw last week's game against Miracasa. In terms of Leuzinger pass defense, they allowed Morgan Rawls, the receiver for Miracasa, to make 8 catches for 253 yards and 4 touchdowns. Guy makes Athlete of the Week in the South Bay for his performance against the Leuzinger defense secondary. Tody comes out tonight. West Torrance obviously knew that they were weak there, and they strike early and big.
Well, yeah, anyone that scouts this team, they know that that's where you have to go. First play you saw from scrimmage tonight by West Torrance, they threw a little pass out on the flat. Now, in the first ball game we did where they lost out on the road, that was a pass that connected for about 67 or 70 some odd yards with that small little flea of a wide receiver, 5'1". His name eludes me right now, but yeah, they've been giving up big chunks of yardage on the pass, which is something that they did not do last year.
You're calling it a 3rd and 4. Here's pass over in the left corner of the end zone. That pass is incomplete. It's going to bring up a 4th down. So it'll be 4th and goal from about the 6-yard line.
And perhaps a field goal try, a field goal attempt from this spot. Oh, it's going to be about, depending on where they put it down, the ball it looks like it's on the 10. So it's going to be about a 27, 28-yard attempt.
So the Olympian defense stiffens there, Dave, after giving up the big play in the air. And this could be a fake. Kick is up, and it's good. So with 7:18 left in the first quarter, the visiting Warriors of West Torrance go on top by a score of 3-0, courtesy of the 27-yard field goal.
And Sean Silver, the sophomore, on the field goal. And, you know, I'm going to try to see if I can make it a point during this telecast tonight to not belabor a point over and over. But it's something that we mentioned last season. The last game that we did together when we saw Leuzinger play was in the semifinal round of the CIF Southern Section Division II playoffs, where they lost to Diamond Bar. And they lost that night, Rufus, as you well know, with the inability to kick one-point conversion. Of course, they had a couple of two-point conversions that they didn't run in, but they had to run them in because they could not kick them in for the simple one-point conversion. And they did not have a place kicker that could kick the ball deep, so they gave Diamond Bar the ball basically on the 35-yard line. Well, it's 1 year later, and that is pretty much still the case. They do not have a kicking game, but you see right there a situation, if Leuzinger has that ball 3rd and about 7, they've got to go for it. Here you have a team in West Torrance that has an option of kicking a 28-yard field goal, and let's face it, 3 points are 3 points.
Exactly. No, that and I concur wholeheartedly with your observation, David, and we'll see what impact the lack of a kicking game has on the Olympians tonight. Here's the opening kickoff. It's going to sail. Well, actually, it doesn't go out of bounds. Stays in play, picked up by number 3, and has some room up the right side, gets out across the 35-yard line on the return for the Olympians. That was number 3, Ronnie Bro.
Now, of course, this is the second game we've covered Leuzinger this year. They do not have Terry Infantineau, who is with Fresno State this year. They don't have Tavita McCallow. They don't have Darnell Charles, the explosive backs. However, for as lacking as they are in the passing game and as anemic as they have been in pass defense, they are still a very explosive team on the ground with Elias Ellis, Ronnie Bro, and Kava McCallow. They have a host of backs, and they still run the wing team.
Once again, they keep it on the ground. And with the carry, number 5 for the Olympians, Mafua Lalua. And as you were saying, Dave, I went over the stats, and the Olympians have 4 rushers and have a total of over 1,500 yards here in the first 4 games of the season. That's an average of over 300 yards per game.
And their philosophy is, we don't pass if we don't have to.
They keep it on the ground. One of those 4, and that was Elias Ellis. Takes it into West Torrance territory at the West Torrance 47-yard line. Just to give you the stats on those 4 rushing backs, since we're looking at the Leuzinger offense, you got Lalua, who's got 51 carries for 617 yards. Elias Ellis with 33 carries for 316. McClendon got 309, and Bro with 255. And again, the Olympians keep it on the ground. Out near yet another first down as they're out the 40-yard line now of the Warriors of West Torrance.
And that's David Guerin you're looking at. He is the starting quarterback. And, of course, when you run the ball that well, you've got to have a good offensive line. And as you look at the line for the Leuzinger Olympians, David Avalos on the line, Victor McClendon, a guard, Willie Reynolds, Grant Roberts, and Ellis Vernon on that offensive line for the Leuzinger Olympians in the wing tee.
So it's a second and very short. Here's the pitch back to number 3. That's Bro, goes up the middle, cuts back, picks up the first down as he takes it inside the 30 down to the 29. Where to be first and 10 for the Olympians. 5:40 left in the first quarter. Right now, we're on the short end of the score by 3 points, 3-0. As we watch this replay, Dave.
Yeah, this is West Torrance has had no answer for it on this first drive, and the fact that West Torrance returns 7 starters on the defense. So their defense is somewhat experienced.
Once again, they keep it on the ground. And this time gets down to the 2-yard line. That's McClendon with the carry. And they mix it up. When you got, I'm not sure we've seen many teams, Dave, I know I certainly haven't, that have a 4-pack of running backs. And you're right, last year they had Darnell Charles and Therian Fontenot, the top half of that 1-2 punch with Kavika doing the fullback duties. This year's squad has 4 running backs, all of whom are a threat as it's first and goal here. Inside handoff fumble. Do they get it? Looks like the Olympians have it. West Torrance claiming possession, but it's the Olympian ball, as that was number 5 for the Olympians who put it on the ground, Lalua.
Well, first mistake of the night, but quickly covered up. Little slip through his hands. The ground is not wet. It's been sort of a overcast, damp day in the South Bay. It drizzled down here in this part of the woods earlier, but it is kind of comfortable here tonight.
So it's a second and goal from about the 4-yard line now. Here's the pitch back, and that's going to be a touchdown. Touchdown for Lalua. Mafua Lalua, the senior running back for the Olympians, and one of the members of that 4-pack of rushes. In fact, he's the lead member of it, David, with 617 yards, 3 touchdowns on the season, averages a gaudy 12.10 per carry. As we watch the replay here, hole opens up as wide as all daylight, and he virtually walks through.
Well, as they're going to go for 2 here, very interesting comment, something I'm going to say when we get a chance about this running attack.
As they said, they go for 2, and looks like they got it on the carry for the Olympians, number 22, George Cooley. So, the Olympians take the lead back now by a score of 8-3 at 4:24 of the first quarter on a touchdown run by Mafua Lalua.
You know, as you watch this team run the football, the Leuzinger Olympians, there does not appear to be, although the leading runner, Mafua Lalua, he's leading ground carrier this year, there does not seem to be that big marquee back the way Therian Fontenot or Darnell Charles was last year. The last 2 weeks, you haven't seen Hawthorne. We've done Hawthorne the last couple of weeks, and I'm thinking of Lamar Keeble. Now, Lamar Keeble for Hawthorne, he fits the bill of that marquee back. He is the O.J. Simpson sort of back. He is the star of the Hawthorne attack. He's very explosive. However, Hawthorne shoots themselves in the foot. As any of you who've seen some of these telecasts, if you've seen Hawthorne the last couple of weeks, for every positive yard they get, they lose 5 to 10 in some sort of clip or a hold.
There's a Leuzinger. Leuzinger has a chance to do it. And the Olympians do on the kickoff. Never quite handled by the return man for West Torrance. Leuzinger special teams gets down there in a hurry and makes the big play.
Well, I I guess to complete my thought, what I was going to conclude with, and it's apropos here as you see this, the Leuzinger Olympians, although they do not have that quote-unquote star, they do not make the sort of mistakes that the Hawthorne Cougars make. They don't shoot themselves in the foot, as you saw on that first drive. And here, as you see, the back who's getting ready to receive for Hawthorne just has a bounce off of him, Mike Miner, and Leuzinger Johnny on the spot, able to get the fumble recovery. And although they got burned somewhat on their first defensive stand in the secondary, they only give up 3 points, and they're able to take the ball away. So they have had the better of the breaks tonight. And unlike the Hawthorne Cougars, we don't want to berate them, but their offense does tend to shoot itself in the foot somewhat.
And so Leuzinger has it, 1st and 10. Once again, they keep it on the ground. Burks with the carry. This time the West Torrance defense not quite as fooled as they were on that first drive. Short gain on the carry for Burks.
Now, of course, with the defense as experienced as West Torrance, being that they do return as many people as they returned from last year, sooner or later they are going to get a little tougher. They're going to stiffen up, especially if they know that you're not going to put the ball in the air. So it's on them to see what they're able to do. Is they don't want to go down by any more at this point at the 3:32 mark.
McClendon with the carry goes left, cuts back. It's going to be near first down if it doesn't already have it.
And another strong run by Leuzinger Olympians. This is the first ball game we've done at Olympian Field in the year 2000, the new millennium. And of course, in this field, one of the 2 fields that we broadcast from, Howcap, the other up at Hawthorne. We are out we're out amongst the Plebeians, so to speak. We don't have a press box here. And of course, if it does rain like it did a couple of weeks ago, we're going to be in a little bit of trouble. So we're going to have to hope to keep it away.
Bro with the carry. Bro has a convoy down the left side. Touchdown. Ronnie Bro with the touchdown run for the Olympians from 10 yards out.
Some strong running and not a clip, not a hold. As far as the running attack is concerned for these Leuzinger Olympians, that is their strength, and they are going to it. They have used it effectively. 2 drives, the second drive coming as a result of the muffed kickoff return, and they've got themselves 6 more pending the 2-point conversion. A strong left, nothing but dark jerseys there, and he just hop skips and right on into the end zone.
And Leuzinger gets the deuce on the 2-point conversion attempt. Twice they've tried it, twice they've been successful, and right now they lead by a score of 16-3 on Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22.
Yes, you hear them just as loud as we do, the boom, boom, boom of the drum, the big bass drum, but the Olympian band here tonight, they're in the stands. There are the boosters. This is the first time we've had a chance to do a game here this season, as we mentioned. The field has an interesting history with the big Olympian flame in the background here on Rosecrans on what has turned out to be a comfortable night. Mike Witt, head coach of the Leuzinger Olympians, taking over Don Markham. Don Markham gone to Rialto with a high-powered offense. And Mike Witt, definitely one of his disciples. He believes in the strong running game and the wing tee. And he of the shaved head. He was defensive coordinator last year. Now he is the head man. And he's employed the same philosophy as his mentor. There he is.
And here comes the Leuzinger kickoff. The second kickoff of the quarter. This one's handled out at the 30-yard line. Special team gets there. Very limited return, maybe 1 yard. So while the kicking game doesn't help their field position, the good speed of the guys on that special unit that comes into evidence again. First time they forced a turnover. This time they get down and cover the short kick for a limited return by West Torrance.
Yes, as Justin Potter, hands on hips, not able to do much. Yeah, if you can get it on the ground and you got the speed to get down there and cover, that's the key. As long as you get it deep, that's all that you really need to do. And of course, when you do squib it on the ground, as you see what happened the first time, causing the fumble. And this time, pretty decent coverage as West Torrance starts out from their own 31-yard line.
2:20 left here in the first quarter. West Torrance down by 16-0. Short pass, good pressure there put on by number 35 for the Olympians. And I want to make sure to give him a mention. That's Grant Roberts. senior guard defensive end. And Grant Roberts got right in their quarterback Tody's face, which forced a hurried throw there. There you see on the replay, hit by Roberts just as he was about to release it. Good defense there by the down lineman for the Olympians.
And they also decided to send George Cooley in from the defensive back position, so little change in coverage that time.
2nd and 10 for the Warriors of West Torrance. This time they keep it on the ground. It's number 20 with the carry. Picks up a good 5 yards on the play.
It's Candelaria on the carry and Vernon Ellis for Leuzinger on the stop. They'll get him a good 5 or 6 yards, bringing up the 3rd down with 1:35 to go in quarter number 1 from Olympian Fields.
Dave, what do we know about Candelaria? He's their big gun, I guess, on the ground, I take it.
Yes, he is. And my question is he related to former Pittsburgh Pirate baseball great John Candelaria?
Well, at 5'5", and considering Big John was about 6'7", 6'8", while there could be a relation, if you're looking from a height perspective, you would think not likely. They pick up the 1st down on the pass. So, they pick on the Leuzinger secondary a little bit, and they get a 1st down for their efforts.
Well, as Ronnie Bro makes the tackle on Amin Nasouf, they're not wanting to give up the deep ball, so they give up the short yardage underneath, and they're able to hit Nasouf out there on the flat. They attempted that first play of the game but didn't connect. And I guess the positive thing for Leuzinger is the fact that although he did make the catch, they didn't give up a lot of yardage after the catch. As they're just playing him out, they're giving him that basically. And he's able to slip the tackle there, as you see.
And he's got a quarterback who can get the ball. They're a pretty good looking quarterback there in Jim Tody. So it's a 1st and 10 at the 45-yard line. They keep it on the ground. They get nothing for that particular effort, but at least it's a way of keeping the secondary honest. And that's a lot of what they're doing. They're mixing it up. They've got a little bit on the ground, but it's pretty apparent, at least wise to this reporter, that the air is where they prefer to operate from, Dave.
Yeah, Kava McCullough making it tough to get there on the ground for Leuzinger. That Leuzinger linebackers in front line have come up to the task as far as stopping the run for the most part this year. As this quarter is going to come to an end, this will probably be the last play.
So it's a 2nd down and 10 now for the Warriors. Cody fakes the pass, drops, throws left, and like I said, it's incomplete, out of bounds.
Well, they come up short as the pass is completed but out of bounds, and that ends quarter number 1 here on Rosecrans. Your score is 16-3. Leuzinger with the 2 touchdowns and the extra points. West Torrance with the 28-yard field goal.
So we've got a timeout on the field. In fact, we've got the end of 1 quarter, Dave, and after our first 12-minute set, Leuzinger leads by a score 16-0, courtesy of a 4-yard touchdown run by Lalua and a 10-yard touchdown run by Bro. Bro's touchdown set up by the turnover on special teams by West Torrance. Leuzinger takes advantage, converts 2 two-point attempts, and consequently they've got a 16-3 lead.
And that turnover could be important because it gives them a little bit of cushion. Basically, if it's not for the turnover, this could be a possible go-ahead touchdown drive that West Torrance is on to start the 2nd quarter. So yes, that turnover is big, and as we made the comment, Leuzinger does keep the ball on the ground, but they don't make the clips and the holes. They run very effectively, and if you're going to run the ball, if that's going to be your bread and butter, you want to do it as best you can. And unlike just comparing to the Hawthorne Cougars, who they have a big feature back that they can go to and an outstanding back in Lamar Keeble, but what good is having a back like that if you get 3 touchdowns taken off the board as they did last week?
So the Warriors change direction, and now they move with the ocean to their back as they move toward the desert. Tody goes deep, throws in the double coverage, and it's incomplete. Excellent coaching there by Mike Witt, knowing that the Warriors wanting to pick on his secondary. throws double coverage at him. Tody gets a fine pass off, throws into the teeth of the double coverage, and overthrows his intended receiver.
Well, unfortunately for Leuzinger, it appears that there's going to go through. The officials, I believe, were pointing against them. But yeah, good double coverage. That's the right call defensively that you want to make. Sort of unsportsmanlike conduct against the Leuzinger Olympians. We don't know who against. Probably, obviously, something on the line because it was away from the ball. So they're their first major mistake of the night, and it's going to wipe out good defensive coverage. Ronnie Bro not very happy with the call.
And in fact, that was our first penalty of the game, Dave. We played a penalty-free first quarter, and first 15 seconds of the second, we get bit with a flag. But more importantly, that flag, as you said, hurt the Olympians. It was going to bring up a third down play, but it's a 15-yard personal foul. It's going to give a first down to the Warriors of West Torrance, and in fact, it's going to advance the ball. From the way they're looking, looks like it's going to take it down to about the Leuzinger 40-yard line.
Well, this is something you don't want to see, of course. This definite momentum changer as Bro gets worked on over there on the sideline. And that's something that Mike Witt is very happy about, obviously. Mike Witt talking to one of the referees on the sideline, just trying to get the referee's interpretation of what happened. As we take a look at Bro, a little banged up. Being tended to. Now they see the official explaining to Mike Witt what exactly did take place, and I believe we have Ken Fine on the sideline at some point. Ken Fine will let us know what's going on down there.
So Tody drops back the pass, throws left, hits his man, but he's tackled after a very short gain. On the reception was Nick Portune, number 3. And Portune picks up 3 yards on the play.
Mafua Leula on the big hit, denying him the extra yardage. Just underway here in this second quarter.
So it's going to be a 2nd and 6 now. This time they keep it on the ground. Once again, stop there at the line of scrimmage, going to make it a 3rd down and 6.
Kendrick Henry coming up from the secondary to make the stop on Candelaria. And one thing that Leuzinger has done is on occasion they've gambled and sent somebody from the secondary in, and they just seem to be at the right place at the right time, and barring, or if you take away that major penalty that was just called, their defense is not playing all that badly tonight.
But I like what West Torrance does in terms of they show you the run every once in a while. Keeps your defense honest. They may pop it again now because sooner or later it's going to open up something for them. Cody drops back the pass and hits his intended receiver. It's going to be awfully close to a first down. Tackle made there by Lalua. Will depend in part on the spot. Of course, with the score being 16-3 here in the second quarter, early in second quarter action, I would think that if they are short, that they might go for it here.
Yeah, that was Amin Nassuf on the catch. He's been one of his favorite targets here tonight on the offense. Nassuf is a senior. And in case we did not mention or neglected to mention, Greg Holt is the coach of West Torrance.
And still they've got the first down. The question is, okay, first down inside the 10, down to the 5. So on 4th and short, they gamble and come away with the first down.
Yeah, you can't give up yards like that. Jim Tody, he was going to get the first down, as you can see. That was apparent, but able to spin off and get some more. And that got to stop him when you make that first stop the forward progress his first time. Got to keep a hold of him. Not able to do that, and it leads to the 1st and goal opportunity.
So from the line, they go up the middle now. Pick up maybe a yard on the play.
That's Nick Portune on the carry that time, and a whole host of Leuzinger Olympians stop him for virtually no gain on the play at the 9-minute mark of the second quarter.
Leuzinger holding on right now to a 16-3 lead, but the Warriors of West Torrance threatening. Good shot there, the Leuzinger defense.
See a little play action pass here, perhaps.
Now they have one back. They send the man in motion. Tody drops back to pass, throws right, and it's broken up. Nearly intercepted by Bro. And boy, if he had been able to make that pick, that would have been 6, David.
Well, it was intended for Eugene Tuskoff, a little down and out. And Ronnie Bro has come up big a couple of times tonight. A couple of hits. You saw him go out earlier getting that foot taped up. He's hobbling a little bit still, but he's back in there. Back in there gamely.
So it makes it a 3rd and goal now from the 4-yard line. You're showing it. There's a pass. But not for Bro's quick hands. That would have been 6. Bro drops back, throws left, and touchdown. Our view somewhat obscured by a couple of fans standing in front of us. But as we can see on the monitor, an obvious touchdown for the Warriors of West Torrance.
That's Amin Nassuf, his favorite man again, a little down and in. And he's able to hold on. He threw him the bullet right to him. And it makes it a 16-9 ball game. Pending this 1-point conversion. So West Torrance right back in business.
Extra point attempt is blocked. It's blocked by number 55 for the Olympians.
Kava Makalo. Polynesian Freight Train. Remember his brother last year, Tavita Makalo, we call the Polynesian Freight Train. And this the junior freight train, the Express, coming up the middle to deny the 1-point conversion. So with at the 8:24 mark, it is a 16-9 ball game. And we are going to go now down to the field as we take a look. Before we go there, we're going to take a look at this touchdown, a little down and in. Good coverage, Mafua on the coverage, but it was thrown in the right location for him to come up with it. And Ken Fine is down away from the maddening crowds. And if he's ready, let's go now to Mr. Ken Fine.
Yeah, we're down here on the field on this Friday night football game. It's really a spectacular running game. So far on the first drives, the West Torrance team scored a field goal, as you saw. But boy, I'll tell you, this Leuzinger team has just powered the field. They are running on their first 2 drives. They powered in 2 touchdowns, and they went with 2 extra points, so they're at 16. It's great. Back to you guys up there in the booth, Rufus and Dave.
And there's the kickoff to the Olympians, taking it about the 15. As number 5 brings it out to the 27, where it'll be 1st and 10 for the Olympians.
17 yards for Ronnie Bro. There was a flag on the West Torrance side of the field. They probably jumped off sides, and I imagine Leuzinger is going to elect to probably decline this. I want to take the ball where they are, but they'll discuss it. Well, no, maybe they're going to make him kick it again. False start against West Torrance, and yeah, I think they want to do the drill one more time. Had pretty good yards, but looks like they will spot it and tee it up again. Sean Silver is a place kicker. So they'll now have to put it back at the 35-yard line and take it again.
5-yard procedure penalty. So back to receive again for the Olympians. Ronnie Bro, number 3. And number 5 for the Olympians is Lalua. Bro on the right side, your left if you're looking from here.
An interesting little lineup. They all rush up to the ball and then they spread out. I wonder why they jumped off sides.
I should say, Bro, the switch from a vantage point. You got number 5 on the left side of the return, and number 3 over here on the right side. Lalua is the receiver. drops it, picks it up. Now he's got a hole right up the middle. And looks like Leuzinger is going, there's a flag on the play, but Leuzinger looks like he's going to go all the way, and he does. Now we'll have to see what the flag is. Fans, there's a flag back at the 36-yard line.
Well, it's 65 yards, but it's probably coming back. Probably have a block in the back. It's going to be a clip, unfortunately, against the Leuzinger Olympians. So that's their first major mistake tonight from an offensive point of view, taking 6 points off the board.
But it looks like this is coming back, David. They're going to back the Olympians up 10 yards. This penalty is going to go against the Olympians. They take it back to from our vantage point, to the 25-yard line, 15-yard line, it would appear. Clipping is the call against the Olympians. So Leuzinger's kickoff return goes for naught. Well, we'll get a chance to at least watch it again on replay. Let's see if we can pick up the clip here, Dave.
Well, they take something bad and make it good out of it in recovering the fumble, but see where they say that there was an illegal
Happens
block.
right there. I think that's the one that they called it on. And I'm not so sure that that's necessarily a good call. It's either there or that last one as you saw him go at first down marker. Once again, they keep it on the ground. That's at Clendon. And got another flag on the play now. This is after the play. This may be another sportsmanship or personal foul. And it's going to go against the Olympians.
Well, after we praised them somewhat in the first quarter for not shooting themselves in the foot, making the costly sort of penalties, the second quarter has turned out to be somewhat different.
Well, that was the referee. I wish we could have kept a shot at that. Referee over to talk to head coach Mike Witt. Witt asking for an explanation. First of all, I'm sure he's a bit concerned. He's got 2 consecutive penalties called against his team, one of which cost him a touchdown that got this crowd enthused. And then on the first play from scrimmage, yet another penalty.
And of course, it gives the momentum to the West Torrance Warriors, helps their efforts. And putting them in the second and long into, dare we say, a possible passing situation at some point.
Well, it's a 1st and 15 for the Olympians. We've got 7:20 left here in the first. They eschew the pass, give it to Ronnie Bro, and right now, West Torrance playing the running game pretty effectively.
As you figured they would do. I mean, at some point, if you're predictable, I mean, you're just going to pack 9 or 10 people there in the box if they know you're not going to pass. So at the 5:57, make that 6:57 mark of this second quarter, here we see the first bona fide should pass sort of situation for the Leuzinger Olympians, and with David Guerin at quarterback, they're not in a passing formation. Let's see what they do.
It's shows on the scoreboard as a 3rd and 11. They drop back show pass. Quarterback keeps it himself. There's another flag on the play, and they got a first down. But let's see how the flag is going to affect this play. They almost could have had a face mask called there on the rushman McClendon for the Olympians that time.
Well, it's a clip called on Leuzinger this time, and you know, as we see this again, we're making a comment earlier about the Hawthorne running attack and how they had 3 touchdowns taken off the board and shooting themselves in the foot. And there are Hawthorne fans that watch these telecasts in Lawndale and Hawthorne, and so their supporters and alumni and fans are out there saying, now it's the same thing is happening to our crosstown rival. They said you ragged us in the first quarter. Now let's look at what's happening to Leuzinger, because what you are seeing now Leuzinger do is what Hawthorne did for 3/4 of the ball game last week, a game that they did eventually win, but they had, seems like for every positive yard they ran, they had it taken away, and now here's Leuzinger in a big hole.
So it's a 3rd and 16 for the Olympians. Guerin drops back, lays it up in the air, hits his receiver, Bro. Now it's a foot race, and Bro is going to get by. There are no flags on the play.
See why you have to pass the ball?
Looks to be a 90-yard touchdown run. The line of scrimmage is back around the 10. They called it 94-yard TD reception by Bro. 94 yards. That may well go down, David, as the longest TD pass in the history of Leuzinger football as we watch the replay here.
Well, this is a situation they had to put it up, and David Guerin is going to want this for his personal highlight reel because this was damn near perfect. Rowe also would want this. He beats his man, just burns him on the coverage. Mike Minor there trying to cover him, and then it's a foot race, and Minor can't do anything about it. So what can you say? They're batting 1,000 from the passing. I mean, they only do it when they have to. And unlike the first time we saw Leuzinger play in week number 2, David Guerin looking a lot better.
For an attempt, that's McClendon going around the left side, picks it up for the Olympians. Makes us score now, 24-9.
And we alluded to the first ball game he did with Leuzinger against La Mirada out at La Mirada. That night, David Guerin going about 1 of 7 for passing. It did not look effective. Well, this on his first pass attempt, as you see the results, one he will definitely want to have for the highlight package with the 6:02 mark. Leuzinger Olympians, despite the holding calls and the clipping and all of the things that happened to them on that drive, they are able to come away with something positive in a somewhat unexpected fashion and in lightning Leuzinger fashion.
So the seldom seen Leuzinger passing attack strikes and strikes big. Let's go downfield side here to Ken Fine, I'm told, as we prepare for the
down
kickoff.
Here on the field, it is pandemonium. The team that doesn't pass decided to pass, and they did a 91-yard TD play there. And then they went in for the 2 extra points. It's fantastic. We'll see you back.
Insightful
Up to you,
commentary
Rufus and
provided
Dave.
by Ken Fine. Here's a return. It's on. And they get it out to about the 15-yard line. Going to have flags coming on the player from all over the field. And ask me, Dave, why do I have a feeling that these flags are going to go against the Olympians?
Well, we've seen their defense come up big the past couple of times, and
well, I was wrong, and I couldn't be happier. Fisher decides to call it the other way. Personal foul against the Warriors. They had a streak going, their fans. Now, I'm sure even the Olympian fans thought, geez, what now? Yet another flag. But, and a bit of a surprise, this flag goes against the Warriors. We've got 5:53 left here in the first half. Leuzinger leading by a score, 24-9 on Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22.
if you like offense so far, this is your kind of game. You're seeing quite a bit of it. And in some effective plays here tonight. Coming into the facility here tonight, ran into the athletic director and principal of Leuzinger. Asked them, were they going to have a quarterback tonight? They said they don't need one.
No.
It's Chris
Brown for the Olympians on the tackle.
hit.
On the carry was Candelaria for West Torrance. Once again, West Torrance using the running game to try to pull the defensive backs up for the Olympians. Leuzinger dropping 4 defensive backs.
And stopping the run has been their strength this year. They've not done that bad of a job in that category. It's been the pass, but they've done a decent job of that tonight here in this Bay League contest. West Torrance and Redondo Beach, 2 new teams in the Bay League. We're seeing West Torrance here tonight.
There's a pitch once again. They're going left. Little or nothing on the play. Maybe even a loss of 1 or so on the play.
Candelaria on the carry again. Not been able to really get in stride so much tonight. He's been a marked man. They know he is the key to the West Torrance running attack. Andre Rochelle and George Cooley up there on the stop for the Leuzinger Olympians. If we get a little lower down, I was going to say if you get a little lower down, I could identify that gentleman by his jersey. But a little too late. 4:54 clock running here in this first half. As you see the big 3rd and 11 play getting ready to come up. Passing situation.
Tony, and It should go against the offense. Should be a procedure penalty.
I'm betting illegal. It was either going to be illegal procedure, delay of game. Man looked like a man went illegally in motion, and they did take quite a bit of time on that play clock.
Clock runs again as we're at 4:36 of the first half. Leuzinger leading by a score of 24-9.
Flame lighting up the skyline here on Rosecrans.
Leuzinger, of course, playing in the Bay League, Division III this year in CIF Southern Section. And we'll talk about the other teams in the Bay League in just a moment. 3rd and long here for West Torrance. They drop back, and he throws it incomplete as he hits one of the members of the West Torrance coaching staff. Of course, he's not an eligible receiver, so that makes it a 4th and very long kicking situation, obviously, now for West Torrance.
You know, that time they're looking for Brian Mitchell, and he just simply overthrew him, but he was also covered short and deep, so he was thrown into double coverage, and probably a good decision to overthrow it there, or you can have some sort of deflection or incompletion. And this brings up a punt situation. Sean Silver is the punter for West Torrance. He will be back just about on his goal line, attempting to punt this one away. Leuzinger with a man back on the midfield line.
So Leuzinger should come out of it with good field position. Looking for the turnover. They put pressure on it. Short kick sails out of bounds at the 25-yard line. They're going to, at the 25, I would think. He's spotting it officially at the 26 or so, but it's going to be Leuzinger with the first down at the Warrior 26-yard line.
And of course, it puts Leuzinger in a big situation to get more points at the 4:09 mark. Quite a bit of time, and their attack has been explosive on the ground tonight.
Well, we've got a stoppage in play. Gives me a chance to tell you that the other teams joining Leuzinger in the Bay League are Beverly Hills, the Normans, Culver City, Hawthorne Cougars, Miracosta, Peninsula, which is the lead dog right now in the Bay League, Redondo, and West Torrance.
And of course, no Inglewood this year, and no Santa Monica. They are now in Division 10, I believe.
So Leuzinger keeping it on the ground. That is Lalua with the carry. Picks up 10 on the play. They say, I told you, averages a little over 12 yards per carry.
Now, for those of you Leuzinger fans who said, well, how is it that you took a look at the Hawthorne back and you call the Hawthorne back Lamar Keeble a star and you say Leula is not a star? Well, I'll explain that in a second. I'll get myself out of that if I can.
Second down for the Olympians. Short gain on the play this time for the Olympians. Clock continues around. We're at 3:20 left here in the first half. Leuzinger holding on to a 24-9 lead right now.
Well, let's put it like this. This is just the second time I've seen Mafua Leula, and I've seen Lamar Keeble 2 times. And based on my judgment, okay, the Leuzinger attack, they, of course, run 4 or 5 backs in the tight wing T. Hawthorne runs a different sort of offense. They try to mix up the pass and the run, although they run better. I'll get to more of this point after this big second down play.
Here's a pitch back to Bro. Bro going left, turns it up the middle, and touchdown! Ronnie Bro from 13 yards out at the 2:49 mark. Ronnie Bro goes in for the touchdown.
Well, just to sort of embellish my point as we take a look at the replay, something else that the Hawthorne Cougars do not have is a multifaceted back offense. As you see, someone like a Ronnie Bro here who's also able to do some damage. You've got Elias Ellis, Ronnie Bro, and of course Mafua Leula. So you got 3 or 4 backs that can do some damage.
Here's a pitch to McClendon. McClendon picks it up. Touchdown. So Leuzinger now leads by a score of 32-9 on Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22. Right now having their way with this team, about to match their 1999 total when they ran up 44 points against this West Torrance team, David.
Well, Victor McClendon, he's the 4th back that is able to do some damage. So again, the point well taken that this Leuzinger Olympian squad although someone like Mafua Leula is the leading ground gainer, he does not have to carry the load all by himself. And for the most part, what I've seen of him now in 2 games is he's pretty much going to follow his blocking. He's going to get the yardage that you give him, which is what you have to do. You want to do that. Terry Infantino, on the other hand, a little more explosive. He could cut back, he could deke, he could get something. And that's the same with Lamar Keeble from what I've seen over at Hawthorne. Lamar Keeble has to carry the bulk of the Hawthorne offense, and he does on occasion, as backs will do on the high school and the college level, what you can't do in the NFL. You try to run back and cut back and dodge and get that extra yardage, and it does work for him sometimes, so that's the difference.
Hernandez with the kickoff. Kickoff taken. Hard hit put there on him by the Leuzinger special teams as he's brought down at the 29-yard line where the Warriors will go on offense.
Well, these Leuzinger Olympians have lost their last 3, and of course trying to get back onto the winning track. Leuzinger in the opening ball game, they were at Camarillo. They beat Camarillo rather impressively. They lost out at La Mirada. La Mirada, one of the teams expected to do well in their division this year, perhaps compete for a championship, and they did not do well defending the pass that night. They lost at Los Alamitos, and they lost the first Bay League game to Miracosta. So they're on a 3-game losing streak. They want to end it and get their first Bay League win.
Warriors keep it up on the ground. Get about 5 on the carry.
As we approach a 2-minute mark to go until halftime, West Torrance with a 1-3 overall record and 0-1. Their one conference game, of course, was a loss to the much heavily favored Peninsula team. They lost to them last week. And, of course, there's a whole host of games going on in the Bay League tonight besides this one.
Again, they keep it on the ground. This time they pick up maybe a pair on it. It's going to make it a 3rd and 3, let's call it, from our vantage point.
It's Eugene Tuzkoff on the carry, the 6-foot junior, rather.
Here's the pass. Looks like they pick up the first down on the play as they cross the 40 out to about the 43, where it's going to be 1st and 10 for the West Torrance Warriors. There's a little over a minute left here in the first half.
That's been Tody's favorite and most dependable target tonight, Amin Nassouf, the senior. He, of course, has their only touchdown on the night. And it looks like the Warriors of West Torrance will take a time with exactly 59 seconds to go.
And that time gives us an opportunity to tell you once again, Leuzinger leads by a score of 32-9, courtesy of touchdowns from Ronnie Bro from Lalua, and from, actually Bro has 1, 2, 3 touchdowns already tonight, and Lalua has the other one. So, good night thus far, and we're only halfway through it for Ronnie Bro. You know, when they played Los Al a couple of weeks ago, and I followed the Los Al team primarily because they're 2 blocks from my house, but they also are one of the Orange County powerhouses and have been for many years. And to have played a team of that caliber, which plays the likes of Mater Dei, Servite, Bosco, etc., and to only lose by a score of 28-20, told me a lot, although I had not seen the Olympians in person up to that point, about the kind of team that this was going to be this year.
And keep in mind, something that I guess I haven't pointed out, or something that I kind of forgot about that ball game that I did it. Yes, they did give up a lot of yards on the big play. Of course, they had the small little receiver who was elusive. But at stages of the ball game, they did put some good pressure on the La Mirada quarterback, which of course is a key. So they did have some pressure, and they did totally shut down their running attack.
Good open field tackle there by number 35 for the Olympians. Goes by the name of Grant Roberts. He's another one of these senior Leuzinger players.
That was
Clock
Eugene
runs.
Toskoff on that last catch.
Ball's at the 46. They fake the pass. Tody throws left. Hits his eye. His receiver doesn't help him on that play. Drops the pass on him. That was Eugene Tuskov with the drop.
31 seconds to go, and the second time he attempts to hit him, but nothing much there. On this big 3rd down and 7 play in the Bay League. If you're wondering what some of the other teams are doing tonight, Hawthorne, the other team we cover, is playing at home against Miracosta. Beverly Hills is at Peninsula. And Culver City is playing Redondo Beach at home. That's what else is happening in the Bay League this week. A couple of teams looking to get into the win column here tonight.
Exactly, and of course, as we mentioned, right now, Peninsula, top dog in the Bay League, man. They're 4-0. They're at Beverly Hills, as you said. Last week, they played and beat West Torrance by a score of 42-17. And somewhere down the line, don't have the schedule in front of me. We can look at this Leuzinger schedule again. Of course, we know we'll be doing Leuzinger homecoming in a couple of weeks. That's going to be a very good game. And I don't need to tell you, on November 3rd, of course, the big crosstown rivalry, Leuzinger and the Olympians. Leuzinger and the Olympians. How stupid of me. Leuzinger and the Cougars. And that game is going to take place here at Leuzinger High School, and that one's guaranteed to pack the house, David.
Well, the scoreboard went on the blitz. There's about, that's not the right time. There's about 31 seconds to go, and it's 3rd down and about 7, so they will keep the time ending this quarter down on the field.
Tody dropping back to pass. Leuzinger showing their version of the nickel. Pass incomplete. Would have been enough for the 1st down, but the pass was short. It's going to make it a 4th down now. And we probably got right at about 20 seconds, maybe even 15 left here in the 1st half.
And it looks like the Leuzinger Olympians will be receiving a punt. I believe West Torrance has taken their 2nd timeout. So Sean Silver will be in there to try to punt it away and hopefully do a little better than he did on the last punt, when he punted out of his end zone only to about the 25-yard line, and Leuzinger was in the end zone a couple of plays later.
Lalua drops back for the return.
Leuzinger's going for the block.
West Torrance showing punt. They shift out of it.
Leuzinger defense makes the adjustment.
Leuzinger shows blitz. They come after it. There, they get it up and away, and it hits at the 30 and goes out of bounds at the, hits at the 20 rather, and goes out of bounds at the 15.
Hey, Spike Lee's at the game. Wasn't that Spike Lee?
Didn't catch him, but if he was, maybe
tall,
scouting for a new movie.
Well, Spike Lee doesn't have Patrick Ewing to root for anymore, so he needs to find another team.
We've got a good 15 seconds or less left here in the 1st half. One of the upsides of the Leuzinger running game is that the clock continues to run. I mean, they're very economical. It's been an hour. We've got 1 half down and 1 to go.
Yes, and they kept the pizza warm in the van for us, so we will be getting some halftime pizza. That is if Godfather Tom Strickfaden has not consumed it.
Keep it on the ground. Ball's loose. And they're going to say the Olympians come up with it. And I think the referee's whistle. Again, the clock right now out of order. So we don't have a fix, folks. We do know there are but mere seconds left here in the 1st half. And it looks like that's going to do it for 1st half action. So Leuzinger is going to go to the locker room, courtesy of 3 Ronnie Bro touchdowns, 1 a 94-yarder, leading by a score of 32-9 on Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22. Okay, fans, we're back, almost ready for the start of the 2nd half. Tell you what, let's go down to our sideline reporter, Ken Fine, for a recap of first half action and some of his first half highlights.
Yeah, I was down on the field and I talked to the left tackle, number 71, David Avalos, and he said he feels the game is going real well for their offensive team. So far, they've had 4 drives, scored every drive, and I'll tell you, the first one was in 2 minutes and 54 seconds, the second in 1 minute and 27 seconds, the next one in 2:22, and the next one in 1 minute and 20 seconds. These guys are literally a scoring machine tonight. They are plowing down through the field. Back to you, Rufus and Dave.
Hey, Ken, as always, thank you for the excellent sideline work. I tell you, folks, we here at Channel 22 have got one of the best crews in the business. We got the best people working behind the camera, and we got a couple of the best guys in the business working in front of it. And Ken Fine, who is a sideline reporter par excellence, does yet another good job. My colleague and color commentator Dave Marks. Dave, an exciting first half if you're a Leuzinger Olympian fan, and particularly if you're a Ronnie Bro fan.
Yes, I think if you're a fan of teams that run the football, they did what they had to do in the first half. It was a sort of sloppy second quarter with some of the clips and the holding, particularly the clipping, not so much holding. Clipping, sometimes you can't help it. I mean, the guys is turned one way and you wind up hitting in the back, but at least they did not hold. The holding penalties for a team that likes to run the ball would be simply inexcusable. So it was all in all a good first half for them offensively. Defensively, they started out shaky, giving up the big home run ball, although it didn't go for a touchdown on the first possession, but the defensive secondary came up to do a lot of things, and they sort of tightened things up as far as giving up the big pass, and with them having West Torrance in a big hole, they will have quite a substantial advantage in the second half as they attempt to get league victory. Number 1 here tonight. And
of course, as if things couldn't get a little bit worse for the Warriors of West Torrance, they've got to yield the kickoff to start the second half to the Leuzinger Olympians, and back to receive for them are Bro and number 5, Leilua. It'll take me just a game or so, fans, to get accustomed to the names and numbers of this year's squad. As I said, after my 3-week hiatus, I'm glad to be back with you. That's Bro who takes the kickoff, brings it back into the middle of the field, has some running room, goes right, got one man to beat, beats the kicker. Now it's a foot race down the sideline. They won't catch him. Touchdown for Ronnie Bro. A career night for Ronnie Bro, fans. His 4th touchdown. We'll have to see the replay to get the marker on that. I never even bothered to look. I'm sure it was 80 and some change. No flags on the play, David.
And the guy on the PA system who's doing the PA tonight here at Olympian Field, he made the comment, he said, no flags, thank you, referee. He said he had 1 touchdown in the first half that was called back, but here, Ronnie Bro just with a gallant run, and once he gets past the herd, there is nobody to impede his path.
Wow, that's a 90-yard touchdown run, David. That was the 10-yard line that they took off from that. 90-yard touchdown run. You see it on your replay. Number 1 giving chase there. There's a 2-point attempt, and it is good, is the indication. Makes our score here at 11:47 of the third quarter, 40-9 in favor of the Leuzinger Olympians on your Ronnie Bro Channel 22 cable network.
And of course, David Alvalos, number 71 on your screen there. He likes it. 2-point conversion by McClendon, his 4th of the night. And that flame burning brightly tonight in this night that is getting somewhat crisper here in Lawndale, home of the Leuzinger Olympians, 40-9 with the big lead. And they're going to go on defense for the first time in this half, where they're going to face a team that's going to have to put the ball in the air on just about every down. Quarterback Jim Toady and head coach Greg Holtz. And it's Mike Witt. Mike Witt looking for his first Bay League victory. Max Muscle on the shirt.
Well, I think Mike Witt has his first Bay League victory in his hip pocket now. Only question left is how wide the margin of victory. Here's a return by the West Torrance special team player, gets it out to the 26-yard line, looks like. Let's call it 27.
It's Amin Nassou on the carry that time. And for most of the first half, he was the favorite receiver. They have him out there trying to run this kickback for the for West Torrance. So West Torrance to the offense for the first time in the second half. They've got a big staircase to climb, as the old cliche goes.
Hate to pat myself on the back, but that's what I tell you. I tell you, if things couldn't get any worse, they had to kick off first to the Olympians. They keep it on the ground, at least and one of the reasons now, while they're at least showing a bit of the ground game, although we know they're going to have to come out of it, you're down by 31 points with half the game left. Got an injured Olympian down on the field right now.
Well, that's Willie Reynolds who made the big hit, and he's the one that's hurt. He put the hit on Candelaria, the leading bulwark ground gainer. And now Reynolds, lying on the ground, appears to be in a little bit of pain there. Number 57, Willie Reynolds. And he, of course, is a senior. He can play tackle. He plays tackle on the offensive line and defensive end.
And we've got Theory and Fontenot down there on the field. While we've got this break, if the guys in the truck can hear me, if we can get Ken Fine to get that interview in. We had talked about it a little bit earlier, to get Fontenot, who's down on the sideline waiting for it. This would be an excellent time to work that in.
Yes, we do have the freshman redshirt from Fresno State in the crowd with us here tonight. For those of you who follow Leuzinger Olympians football through the years, you know the name of Terrian Fontenot. He, of course, was the leading ball carrier in his sophomore, junior, and senior years, an all-area selection. And he, of course, went to Fresno State. Mike Witt and Andre Rochelle talking right there. And although he is a freshman, he's redshirted this year. He's not, which means, of course, he has another 4 years of eligibility. As Reynolds, they give Reynolds a nice round of applause. He comes off here tonight. He, of course, made that big hit on the running back, and he appears to have taken the brunt of it. And I think Ken Fine has found his man in red, Terrian Fontenot, and just let us know downstairs when we're going to go to him. They're going to get ready to play, but that interview will be coming up as soon as we do get the opportunity, Rufus.
All right.
I'm down here with last year's leading rusher with 2,057 yards, 33 TDs, and 22-point conversions, Therian Fontenot. He's here, and he's playing with Fresno State, as you can see on his shirt, and we just wanted to see how he felt to be back here in the South Bay.
Well, I'm feeling all right tonight. Come back and watch my boys play a good game, you know. Come out here, play hard, do what they got to do. I've been reading the papers, keeping up with them and watching. So they lost a couple games, but I knew they was going to come back strong. So, you know.
Well, how's that team of yours performing up there in Fresno, and how do you feel this year, your first year in college? Is it treating you well up there?
Yeah, they treat me well. You know, they treat me like I'm a part of the team. You know, I'm sitting out this year. And the team's doing good this year, you know. We're 2-2 right now. We lost to two good teams. We lost to a good Pac-10 team in Hawaii State. You know, we won last night against Rice, and we beat Cal. So we're doing it all right. We'll be all right.
Well, you know, I'll tell you, we see you here in the South Bay. Are you feeling good? You like being back here? You like talking to some of your old friends, and have you seen some of them?
Yeah, I like being back, and I like this weather right now, you know, because out in Fresno, it's real hot. So, and I miss my boys, so, you know, had to come back down, check them out, holler at them, see what's up with them.
Well, we're down here with Therian Fontenot. It was great to interview you, and we're glad to see you back here to greet all our visitors here on Channel 22, and we'll be back with you. Up to you, Rufus and Dave.
All right, man.
A lot, Ken, for that fine interview. It's a fourth down punting situation for the Warriors now. High snap. They get it away. Some pressure there by the Leuzinger special team. It's going to take a Leuzinger bounce, and it's going to be downed at the 46-yard line of Leuzinger. Well, they will go on the attack again with 10:43 left here in the third quarter. Dave, in excellent field position, leading by a score of 40-9. as we said, on the Ronnie Bro, Channel 22 Cable Network. It's all the Bro Show tonight, baby.
And it hasn't been too bad of a night for Mafua Leula, as we see there the old guard and the new guard. Terry Infantillo talking to Ken Fine there on the sideline. And let me remind the viewers, if you saw him play here for a few years, not only was he an outstanding back, he is quite a gentleman. And he, of course, making the rounds of some of his old friends here at Leuzinger tonight, very popular. And watching the new guard on the wing tee do it tonight, the likes of Ronnie Bro and Mafua Leula.
Dave Guerin at quarterback, gives it to Bro. Bro goes left, cuts it back up the middle, picks up a first down, still on his feet, finally stopped at the 40-yard line, but not until after he picks up the first down. In Warrior territory.
Well, most of these players that you're seeing here, as you take a look at Ronnie Bro, keep in mind they were on the JV. He mishandled that snap there. Fortunate that he was able to keep it and got good positive yards out of it. They were on a JV team that went undefeated and defeated Peninsula last year in league play, and a lot of these players have come over here to the varsity squad, and they're continuing the Leuzinger tradition.
There's a pitch to number 5. He cuts up the middle. He's got some running room, and he's going to go all the way. That's Lalua with the 41-yard touchdown run.
So there, Rufus, we saw the past, and now you see the future, going from Terry Infantillo and Darnell Charles to Mafua Leula and Ronnie Bro. They put on a clinic here tonight, the tight wing tee, and of course they could not do it if it were not for the effective blocking of that big offensive line, opening up the holes there. They've done it all night. They spring him, and they're now looking to tack on 2 more on the 2-point conversion.
McClendon with the attempt, McClendon. So McClendon's found his role. I don't know if you can build a pro career out of 2-point conversions, but he's certainly building a high school career out of it.
Well, he's a linebacker and, of course, used as a running back. And with 10-10 to go third quarter, that scoreboard is seriously lopsided.
Leuzinger already having exceeded their 1999 point total against this team. Last year they rang up 44 points. This year, right now, and we've just started the third quarter. We still got 10-10. We've only played a minute and 50 seconds, and they've scored 16 points.
And you notice we have a new backdrop this year, folks, if he can make that out. How about that? A little fresh paint. That's always good.
So, on Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22, our score, Leuzinger 48, the visiting Warriors of West Torrance 9. The old mercy rule may go into effect early on this one, Dave.
Well, I've never seen the mercy rule put in effect at a football game yet. I've seen it a couple of times at high school baseball games, at softball games, but not in football yet. Well, it's Amin Naouf on the carry, and of course he has been just about Mr. Everything. He scored their only touchdown on the night, and give him credit for not giving up in a ball game of this magnitude, still running strong. If you're West Torrance, I mean, you've just got to continue to try to play things and just kind of get yourself ready for next week. Try to take something positive from a game like this. West Torrance will be home against the Hawthorne Cougars next week.
So their task doesn't figure to get any easier as they take on the Cougars.
Not with the running attack that the Cougars have shown this year so far. The aforementioned Lamar Keeble, the Hawthorne Cougars.
Jim Toady still under center at quarterback. Leuzinger dropping back on defense. Again, as you noted earlier, giving them the short stuff. Looks like they've got a first down on the play. That was more run than pass, but yields a first down as the Warriors start that long climb back.
And again, you got to give that credit to Amin Nasouf. He has not given up here tonight. Sacrificing the body, he picked up the first down Ball right outside the midfield stripe here tonight for the Warriors. They actually, if you can remember, a long time ago, they got on the board first with a field goal.
You're exactly right. They had a ever so brief lead at 3-0, and I guess that's what they'll talk about. That's the highlight of the game.
Nick Portune with a carry that time. He peeled off about 5 yards. So they've got to take it kind of one drive at a time. Still 9-10 in the third quarter. I mean, not impossible, but a lot of points to have to make up in a rather short period of time. And unless they develop the big playability and are able to do something on defense to stop the ground attack, it's just about in the books.
Well, it's 39 points that you got to make up in 21 minutes. And while, as you say, not impossible, highly unlikely. Another first down, though.
Well, Rufus, you and I, this is, I guess, our third year working together, and we very well remember a playoff game we did Hawthorne and Glendora a few years ago.
Exactly.
Oh, that was an interesting one, right around the Thanksgiving break. 49, I believe it was 49-45 wound up the final that night.
Great game out at Citrus College.
Well, actually, the Citrus College one was, well, you've been doing this too many years, so they start to roll by, but the Citrus College game was when we did with Glendora and Leuzinger. Now, that was a 2013 game, and I remember that because it was freezing that night.
You're right. We were at Halcap Field.
The Halcap Field was 2 years. I believe that was 98.
Okay. All right, so it's a 1st and 10. They put it on the ground again. They don't have any high expectations for their ground game at this point in our reality, other than the fact to pull the Leuzinger defensive back. Leuzinger playing their version of a dime package. They've got about 5 or 6 guys back there in the defensive secondary. They're dropping 4 back right off the line of scrimmage from the start, and 2 of the linebackers drop back to give support as well. So.
And, of course, at this stage in the game, they're going to give up that little short stuff, but they still do not want to give up the home run ball.
They go slot right. They throw. They complete the pass. Their big back, that's Candelaria. And they get another first down as they move it down to about the 25. Looks like they're going to spot it at the 24.
That's McCullough on the tackle, and Mafua Liula getting over there to help out as Candelaria picks up the big first down at the 7:50 mark of this third quarter. For those of you who plan on being with us here on Lawndale Community Cable, if you're wondering what our next telecast will be next week, you will see these same Leuzinger Olympians. They will be at Beverly Hills, and it'll actually be a night game. Beverly Hills Normans have installed some portable lights to their fields up in Beverly Hills, and you'll see that next week here on Channel 22.
6 o'clock start time, I believe you mentioned, Dave.
Yes, it is.
Is that correct? Okay, that pass batted up into the air by the Leuzinger defender. That was number 22, George Cooley, who got a hand on it, nearly intercepted it. Yeah, but is that a 6 o'clock start on that game?
It's actually a 6 o'clock. Now, of course, since we don't do it live, if anyone wants to go to Beverly Hills, yes, you have to be there at 6 o'clock on Friday, but of course it'll be replayed either later that night or the next day here on Channel 22. So, but it's going to be interesting to see how it looks up there under these portable lights that they're going to have at Beverly Hills. Beverly Hills, one of the teams that does not have lights along with Peninsula, so they tend to play their games at 3 in the afternoon, but this year they have gone to the portables, and that's what they'll be doing next week when they play the Leuzinger Olympians.
So it's a 2nd down and 10 now. 7:18 left in the third. We've got a timeout on the field, timeout taken by the Warriors of West Torrance here on Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22 with the Leuzinger Olympians leading by a score of 48-9.
Well, so far they've run into a team that has not been able to match them, mano a mano. We explained to you what their weaknesses were coming into the ball game, giving up the passing yards. They had been doing well as far as defending the run, and so far in this ball game, West Torrance has been able to do neither. And the Leuzinger Olympians to their strength, which is the ground game. Mafua Liula and Ronnie Bro. And we haven't heard much of the most experienced, the senior back, Elias Ellis. He, of course, being that he was the most experienced back on this team, playing on the varsity last year, that game you talked about out of Glendora at Citrus College, he scored one of the key touchdowns in that ball game. As you remember, a 20-13 win, Elias Ellis, but not featured too much here tonight.
Well, as I mentioned, it's been the bro show tonight, and with Lalua playing the supporting role. Looks like we got a shot of the cheer squad here at Leuzinger. They've had a lot to cheer about tonight. Very excited. It's always easier to do your thing when you're winning than it is when you're losing. But these young ladies have given an awful lot of support to the Leuzinger athletic program over the years. Tody, back to pass. Hits his intended receiver. Candelaria bounces off one tackler, picks up a couple of extra yards, gets down near a first down.
Chris Brown making the tackle for Leuzinger on Candelaria on a well-run screen that time. Candelaria got a lot of it on his own. They will have a Saturday tomorrow to go to the mall and spend their parents' money, and then Sunday they'll be looking to do a little homework, I would imagine.
So it's a 3rd down and 6. They're going to call it officially. 6:30 left here in the 3rd quarter. Jim Tody, single back. Tody, 2-step drop. Let's call it 3. Gets a completion away. They cut it back inside. And if it's not a first down this time, it's going to be awfully close. Going to be one of those situations where if it's not, they obviously, and the indication is that, well, the scoreboard seems to indicate it's a first down, although the officials haven't had a move to change yet.
Well, now, if you don't want to be on, we don't want to show you, but Nassuf was the one on the catch, and it looked like someone had a chance to wrap him up earlier, but he eluded that tackler, and he gets enough yards for the first down. Mike Witt somewhat concerned, but not overly worried. You see the score in the top left half of your screen. A Channel 22 innovation this season, stretching that fiscal budget.
Shows you that, hey, we're no second-class operation here at Channel 22. If the big guys can do it, so can we. Candelaria keeping it on the ground. Candelaria inside the 10, down to about the 3, actually. I should say inside the 5.
Well, this is the best drive of the night for this West Torrance team, although they have a field goal and a touchdown on the board already. The field goal basically the result of that one long pass play that they completed to Amin Nassuf, where he had to make a spectacular catch after he beat his defender, and they settled for the 3 points as they weren't able to get it in. The second touchdown coming on a much shorter sort of drive. This one has been a long, sustained drive, and they try to get a little something on the board here.
There's Candelaria with the touchdown. And in a bit of football irony, well, a few times I've seen it, normally when a team gets behind, their running game is the first thing to go because you got to score quickly. It's one of the few times I've seen a team get behind and their passing game leaves them, and their running game is what opens up for them. And in fact, this drive, mostly on the ground, consumed a lot of time, mind you, but they do put 6 points on the board.
Well, got to give it to their head coach, Greg Holtz, for deciding to go that route. Of course, you got to get something out of it. Had they committed a turnover, that would have been a disaster for them. Now they'll try more than likely to go for the 2-point conversion. And then, well, let's see what they do in the kickoff.
They drop back the pass, throws it, lays it up, and misses his intended receiver, just overthrew him. So that's going to make our score 48-15 now in favor of the Leuzinger Olympians.
Now, at this point, I think back to a game a couple of weeks ago, to the Keyshawn Johnson Foot and Mouth Bowl game played between the Jets and Tampa Bay, when the Jets had pulled to within about 5 or 6 points within a touchdown, and they were wondering, were the Jets going to go for the onside kick, and they decided to kick it deep, giving their defense the chance to stop Tampa Bay. And what the defense did on a Bill Parcells-esque, although he is not the coach, but still a Bill Parcells-esque sort of defense. They came up with the big fumble recovery on Allstott. For those of you who watch Bill Parcells coach teams, you know, if you follow the Giants in their games against the 49ers, NFC Championship games, the Giants, the football New York Giants, not the San Francisco ones who are going to lose to the Mets, but the San Francisco Giants came up with, actually the New York Giants came up with a fumble in the later stages of the game, and they beat the 49ers in a game. So I say all of that to give some props to the teams that I root for out of New York, I'll be honest with you. But secondly, I say that to say that in this situation here, it calls for either maybe an onside kick or kicking it deep, as you see that funny formation, and now they go back and do something else.
Well, they go back into their standing formation. They come up, fake the onside kick. Still, they just might do it. Of course, they still need a lot of points. Down by 33 it is. They kick it away, and it sails out of bounds at the 10-yard line. So the Olympians will take possession, I believe. I don't know whether they give it to them at the 40 or the 45.
As unless they torture him by making him kick again.
Well, I don't think they kick it. They kick it over. Now, I could be wrong here. I think it's automatic possession. It looks like from where the back judge is saying, okay, well, they give it to him at the 35. I know a year or two ago it used to be, or maybe it's the NFL, where if it goes out of bounds now, you get it like the 40, and I just think that that's ridiculous, right, to give a team that kind of field possession. So here it's going to be placed at the 35-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Olympians. We got 4:53 left in the third quarter. Leuzinger leading by 33 points at 48-15. There's the pitch back to McClendon. Looks the room, doesn't find any. There was a hand up around the face mask. No call on the play, though.
Dwayne Holyfield in there on the stop for West Torrance.
Is that one of Vander's kids?
I don't. Well, I could actually comment on that, but I won't. The other one on the Shane Gray, the other one in there on the stop. So McClendon getting a chance to carry the ball here. He was successful on some of those two-point conversions, but no gain on that first down, as you saw.
On the wing, you got Lalua coming in motion. Here's the pitch back to Lalua. He heads up the middle. Boom. Good hit put on him at midfield. He falls forward to about the 48-yard line, but not until he picks up the first down. So Leuzinger running at will against this West Torrance team.
And looked like Rochelle created the wall on the right side, and Mafua cuts back. And on the stop is Kim. Gary Kim making the stop. First down for Leuzinger.
McClendon goes up the middle himself, and he takes it inside the 30 for another first down.
At this point for the Leuzinger offense, this is an effective practice with 3:35 to go in the third quarter. McClendon, who had the problem carrying the ball the last time, gets a chance to peel off the big yard. So Mike Witt and the coaching staff getting the opportunity to test out a host of people in a game situation. And of course, David Guerin at quarterback is 1 for 1 on the pass.
Pitch to Bro. Bro comes the other direction, turns into the traffic, and is brought down.
And it looked like Dan Elrod brought him down. Looked like his initial contact was up somewhere near the helmet. I know you've mentioned a couple of times tonight, Rufus, it looks like things are getting a little close as far as where some of the West Torrance tacklers are hitting some of the Olympians. And as the first half came to an end, we saw that same man, Dan Elrod, and Mafua on the ground doing a little wrestling.
Once again, they keep it on the ground. They pick up yet another first down, so they're picking up first downs at will, Dave. Here, clock mercifully running, in the third quarter. 2:33 left in the third. Stops momentarily from the spot the first down, then it starts running again.
Well, that's Cooley that time, George Cooley, who plays in the secondary and, as you can see, can also carry the ball. And I imagine at some point we're going to see Elias Ellis, although he hasn't had many carries tonight.
Lalure again on the wing. He comes in motion. They give it to him. Lalure goes up the middle, and it's a touchdown for Lalure. 15-yard touchdown run at the 2:05 mark.
Well, it's a good thing these fans don't have to do push-ups for every point scored, because they'd be kind of tired. I know they do that at some colleges. I think they do that at West Point perhaps, but here the effort down near the goal line when it looks like two tacklers got there, trying to strip the ball away from him, Brian Mitchell and Eugene Tuzkoff. But he powers his way in at the 2:05 mark of this third quarter.
Leuzinger again will go for the 2 points here. Which can normally lead you to the assumption that, and you've got flags on the play. First of all, that as you said before, the kicking game is virtually non-existent, because in fact, this would be a prime opportunity to give the kicking game a workout in game situations. I mean, you're leading by 54-15, another 39-point lead in a game that only has 14 minutes left.
That's not a bad idea, and they may actually get a little bit of practice at it, because this is going to be a holding call against Leuzinger, which will push this effort back. I don't think we'll see it, but it's certainly, if you're going to try it, I mean, if it's blocked, it can't be returned for a touchdown. So, I mean, it's a good point.
So, penalty goes against the Olympians, as we pointed out. Takes them out of your normal 2-point conversion range. We can only assume they certainly don't show kick here, so they won't be kicking. We'll assume they'll drop back to pass. No, they keep it on the ground. Ball comes loose. Play fails, so that makes our score. Once again, Leuzinger 54, the Warriors of West Torrance 15.
Well, as you see, they don't get it here. A little play fake. And the ball put on the ground, kicked around, batted around, but that's it. All is said and done. And so instead of 56, they get 54, as what amounts to a second half practice for Leuzinger. 54-15 is the correct score. They're going to change that graphic in 2 seconds. 48 plus 6 is 54.
So Leuzinger will be kicking off, and at least Eddie Hernandez has gotten a lot of kickoff experience tonight, because he gets the honors of kicking after each one of these scores. Kick's going to be picked up. Hasn't been picked up yet. That makes it a live Leuzinger ball. Side judge is going to very generously say that it's still West Torrance's football. And so they will start at their, looks like about their 18-yard line, where it'll be 1st and 10 for the Warriors. Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22.
Well, for a team that can't kick it deep, they're getting what they want on those squib kicks on the ground, and that is one of the things that the squib kick can do. It can be a hot potato down there, and a couple of times, well, one time we did see a fumble, this time almost a fumble, as the guy from the kicking team was right in his face as he's getting set to receive it or pick it up.
Well, once again, they keep it on the ground. West Torrance recognizing a couple of things, I guess. Part of that being that Leuzinger has taken away their passing game, interesting enough, because Leuzinger knows they have to pass, so they're trying to catch the Leuzinger defenders off guard. And they also may be in their arsenal even though there's a little over 13 minutes left. Let's run this thing out quickly and get on the bus and go home, guys, and get ready for next week.
At the 1:30 mark of the third quarter, but with them running the ball this much, it, of course, forces Leuzinger to have to play. They'd much rather defend the pass.
They show guys, I mean, they've got a double slot right, and they're showing that as their passing game. However, they've yet to put a pass up.
Bring Grant Roberts in on the stop that time. It's been a lively crowd tonight. You got drill squad, pep squad, boosters, and everybody.
Well, again, when you're on the winning end of a blowout, you tend to be a little more peppy than you do when you're on the other side of it. Even your cheerleaders have a little more enthusiasm. Good crowd out tonight, actually, for the Leuzinger Olympians, David. And I'd be the first to admit that I've certainly taken my occasion when I felt it warranted to point out to the Leuzinger crowd their lack of support for their program, particularly football team, when it travels in the postseason, when they really need people. But here tonight, and there you see a shot at Therian Fontenot on the sideline there. We, of course, have told you about Therian's contributions to this Olympic program over the last couple of years, and now he's moved on to bigger and better things at Fresno State. Redshirting this year, looking forward to a huge season next year. But point being where we were, excellent crowd out tonight for the Olympians. Yes. Okay, so at the end of 3 quarters, our score, Leuzinger 54-15 over West Torrance.
And what can you say about the third quarter that we haven't already said? It's what amounts to basically a practice.
And we're getting Ken Fine ready down on the sideline. We're going to throw it down to Ken in just a second. If Ken's ready, we'll go down to Ken Fine on the sideline.
Audio. Ken, I'm hearing you over the air, dude.
Looks like we're having a bit of audio difficulty there with Ken's report. We're going to get that worked out for you, of course.
You didn't know that Ken Fine was at the Monterey Pop Festival in 1967? And he left right after the Who and before the Hendrix Act. A lot of people don't know that. Actually, he came to see the Mamas and the Papas and Simon and Garfunkel. And he quite enjoyed the Ravi Shankar performance as well. But he's our man of rock and roll. He's into that classic 60s rock and roll.
So it is they're showing a 4th and 1 for West Torrance. Ball spotted at the 26-yard line. Need to get to the 27 for the first. West Torrance trying to draw the Leuzinger defense offside. Doesn't work. And they're forced into a timeout.
Which is their second of the half.
Not sure I would have wasted time out in that situation. If they don't come, you take the 5-yard penalty and you move on.
And especially since they're going to go for it anyway on 4th down. But it keeps it the short option, 4th and about a foot. On this night when before the ball game we questioned the Leuzinger ability. Let's go to Ken Fine.
We've got a chance now to go down sideline to Ken Fine. Ken.
I was just talking to Andre Rochelle. He's a defensive and offensive player. He's playing both ways. And we're looking at times where they're scoring in 33 seconds, 13 seconds. He came off knowing that I was keeping time and asked me how fast was that last TD. I told him 2 minutes and 58 seconds. They are literally scoring every drive. We've had 7 drives by this team, 7 scores. Only 1 missed 2-point play. And I'll tell you, I talked to the coach, Coach Witt, just after the halftime report. And I asked him, do you have a passing game? And he says, the only play you saw passing, that was it. Back to you, Rufus and Dave.
Thanks a lot, Ken. Great work there. And on the 4th and 1, they put it on the ground. Looks like they've got enough for it, judging from where both of the sideline officials come in at. And they seemingly mark it as a first down.
Yeah, Jim Toady just taking it straight ahead at 5'10", and they got the easy first down. So they had the one long drive that resulted in a score in the 3rd quarter.
Clock starts to run again here in the 4th quarter. We had clock just started, so we're at about 11:40 here. Referee gives a signal for it to run. Have to check the rule book on that. We're talking about mercy rules. There are different kinds of ways that you can invoke it, one of which I know that we do in NJB basketball is when a team's ahead by X number of points, the clock just runs continuously. It does not stop. And it's only stopping for first downs and change of possessions now. Otherwise, it's running. Toady rolling right, doesn't see anybody, keeps it himself, got flags on the play. That, of course, will stop the clock momentarily. This is the most animated that I've seen a house announcer, particularly here at Leuzinger in all my years.
Yes, he's helping our call. What we can't see, he's able to see. And that's good for us. That benefits us.
And the penalty goes against West Torrance. Referee comes over to give us an indication. And the indication is that it is the ubiquitous holding call. Probably the best known referee signal in all of football. I think if a Martian landed here and saw the holding call, they would know that's what that was. That and the illegal procedure. Most fans know that one.
The old offsides is pretty popular too.
So it is a first and they're showing first and a whole lot. Pump fake by Toady. Toady going long on the sideline. You get no flag on the play. I was looking for the flag. West Torrance thinking there was defensive interference there and looked awfully close if you ask me.
Well, it was Bro on the coverage looking for Amin Nassuf again, his favorite target. And the pump fake was able to help. And Toady's just going to air this one out. Well, it might have even been either he slipped or it looked like maybe Nassuf pushed off a little bit, but no flag on either player. And it just goes as a long incompletion.
So it's a 2nd and 25 now. On the 2nd and 25, they give it to Candelaria. Don't fool many there. It's going to make it a 3rd and a whole lot. Well over 20 yards.
Well, Rufus here tonight at Olympian Field with a score. Oh, that should be 54-15, by the way, on that score. Yes, indeed. Yes, she says make it 54, guys. Tonight, they are acknowledging a lot of people. Last year, if you followed basketball here during the basketball season, Leuzinger Olympians won the Ocean League title. Both the men and the women won the Ocean League title. And some of the coaches are here, and some of those players are here. Victoria Sanders, basketball and girls softball coach. Successful with the basketball, not so with the softball. Remember, her daughter hit a ball which would have been a home run last year in a game we did, but one problem, she didn't touch 2 bases. As you see, Candelaria on the shortstop. But speaking of Victoria Sanders and her daughter, who has the potential to be a power hitter, I was told that someone saw her play over the summer, and not only is she touching all the bases, her power has increased. So next spring, you'll see some more baseball and football here on Channel 22. But right now, we're in the heart of football.
And right now, we're watching a blowout as our score. Leuzinger leads by a score of 54-15, although the monitor shows 48. It in fact is 54-15 in favor of the Olympians. West Torrance punting to the Olympians now. McClendon back to receive. They get the punt away. An awfully short punt. Not much of an opportunity for a return by the Olympians. It's going to roll dead at about the Leuzinger 40, just outside the 40-yard line, where with 8:42 left, it's going to be 1st and 10 for the Olympians.
Well, Sean Silver's had his punting problems tonight. But the Leuzinger offense on the ground has been very potent tonight. So Mike Witt talking to Moises Aldacco, excuse me. He can also quarterback, but David Guerin has been in there all the way. And
well, I think we've got to change, just as you mentioned Aldacco's name. Aldacco now in at quarterback, fumbles his first play, picks it up, takes off, and he gets out close to a first down. Okay.
Well, Moises Aldacco, backup quarterback. He is a senior. David Guerin, a successful night. 1-for-1 passing for 94 yards and a touchdown. How about that?
Well, that'll look great in the stat sheet. First of all, you get 1,000 on your passing percentage. That'll help the old QB rating.
And somebody out there will say, gee, those Leuzinger Olympians, they can really pass the ball.
Pitch back to McClendon. He picks up a first down as he takes it inside West Torrance territory down to the West Torrance 44-yard line.
Well, Rufus, in all the years you've done these games, what's the most amount of points you've ever seen scored by a Leuzinger or a Hawthorne team?
Well, actually, I think we're pretty close to it now. It's been in the 50s a time or two. I do know I've never seen it in the 60s, and well, we're looking at 60 points being on the board right now. And, you know, this is a situation, this brings up another interesting point, David. You know, most times, and in the coaching fraternity, no one takes pleasure at running up the score on the opponent. Mike Witt, at this point, obviously knows he's got more than enough points. You want the clock to move. The way you keep the clock moving is by running the ball, because the clock stops on every incompletion. But running is losing your strength, and it's almost like you want to say to them, well, pass the ball, to show that you're doing mercy. But folks do understand this, and Mike Witt is a gentleman and a coach. There's no intent on their part to run the score up, but running is their strength, and if they score again, so be it. And I think that the West Torrance coaching staff understands that.
That time, actually, they handed off to Kava Makalo as they beat the big bass drum. The victory beat here tonight for the Leuzinger Olympians.
So he's already made the one change by putting Aldacco in. They give it to McClendon. McClendon hits the hole, looks for room, bounces outside, picks up the first down.
Well, as you saw McClendon there, once he did hit that hole, find it, he sprung him forward for some big positive yards on the play. And they cannot stop them. They've had no answer for that ground game tonight. Leuzinger heading for perhaps 60 points as we approach the 6-minute mark to go in the game.
So it's a 1st and 10 for the Olympians. This time they pitch it back to Lalua, and Lalua down around the 1-yard line, where it'll be goal to go for the Olympians. Again, they've got 54 points on the board. They're knocking on the door again. They're at the 1-yard line. They're going to place it as we've got 5.5 left here in the fourth quarter. They keep it on the ground. Lalua goes right up the middle for the score. 1-yard touchdown run at the 5:21 mark.
And they've got their 60 points, pending now this 2-point conversion.
Of course, this will send all the record book mavens to the record books to see where these 60 points tonight stand in Leuzinger history. Of course, they're going to be looking to tack on a deuce. They give it to Bro. Bro gets strung out. So Bro's attempt is no good on the play. Again, one of the few miscues by the Olympians tonight. That makes our score 60-15 with 5:21 left.
So a giddy and happy crowd on what was a comfortable but somewhat cool night. There was a threat of rain and drizzle. It has not come to Lawndale tonight, fortunately.
And you're right, happily so, because all I could think about was I didn't have a hat, didn't have an umbrella, and I didn't have a raincoat.
And we do things out in the open here at this field. Hawthorne, we have the press box. Here, we are out in the elements, and we don't usually figure for it to rain. Hasn't rained here yet in a game we've done at Leuzinger, but if it ever does, it's going to be interesting, folks.
So we've got 5:21 left as Leuzinger prepares to kick off. Again, the one guy who's gotten more work than anybody else tonight, Eddie Hernandez. Prepares to kick. Eddie gets this one up in the air. It's taken at the 10. Brought out to the 25-yard line where West Torrance will go on offense yet again.
So as they do elect to go to the offense, as they go to the offense here, last couple of times they've just tried to grind it out and it led to one touchdown. And they'll probably do likewise here.
Well, as I've been known to say in the past, sometimes you wonder, and we know it can't be done, but you almost think maybe Leuzinger should have kept a couple of these points for next week or for some future opponent. But tonight, they've put up 60 points on the board. Defense has played wonderfully, only giving up 15. And while West Torrance keeps it on the ground, one of the other things from Leuzinger's contest last week that they've improved upon is last week they committed 5 fumbles. Fumbles lost, that is. Tonight, they've only put the ball on the ground once. They recovered it themselves. So, again, improvement taking place week by week. They gave up a lot of yards in the air last week. They come in playing a team with an excellent aerial attack. They shut them down. So, as I said, even though we've got 6 games to go, now 5, Leuzinger looking good and could find themselves in the next couple of weeks, depending upon how things shake out, in the hunt for a playoff spot, Dave.
Yes, this is true. Of course, the one loss, they didn't want to go down 2 in the league. So this is an important win tonight to get them in the win column for the league. They'll be at 1-1. And it's still early, but if they are able to beat Peninsula, and that is, quite frankly, at this point, a big if, because there still are going to be a lot of question marks that have to be answered for this Leuzinger team. You could say, quite obviously, this is a no-brainer, their best performance of the season tonight, but you'd have to question the strength of the opponent. West Torrance, a team that's rebuilding, although they have a lot of defenders coming back, certainly not a team that's as strong as we thought they were going to be. But then again, from Leuzinger's point of view, they shut down the big home run ball, the long pass that their defensive backs have been having problems with.
Well, we get another good measure next week, as you said, Dave, when they take on a Beverly Hills team. We don't know the result of that game played earlier this afternoon, I don't believe, at Peninsula, where the 3-1
I think it's a safe bet Peninsula won.
Where the 3-1 Normans took on the Peninsula Panthers, who were 4-0, 1-0 in Bay League competition. But even if they lost, they will still come in the next week contest at 3-2. Leuzinger will go in at 2-3. So Leuzinger with a chance next week to reach the 500 mark. And there'll be a chance to see how far the program has come against what should be a higher quality opponent, if you will, than has been West Torrance tonight.
As you see the well, you thought it was going to be a procedure call there, but instead it's offside against Leuzinger, and that, I believe, is going to keep the drive going for West Torrance. But yes, Beverly Hills, one of those teams, they lost Boomer Wells. They lost a lot of the key people last season. So they're sort of in a rebuilding year, but it will be a home game for the Beverly Hills Normans. And they usually pack people in now that they have a chance to play at night with the artificial light, not the artificial, but the temporary lights that they're bringing in.
Want to encourage the Leuzinger fans, of course, to get out next week and to go up the road, up the 405 for the Beverly Hills game. Again, that pass incomplete, intended by Tody. We've got 3:28 mercifully, folks. It won't be long now. Just hang on in there with us. If we got to stay here and announce a game like this as a blowout, I expect that you'll stay here and watch it with us.
Well, what you saw there on that last play, the defensive secondary for the Leuzinger Olympians, who were much maligned. They were a big question mark coming in. Despite that first drive, Ronnie Bro, Kendrick Henry, George Cooley, defensive backs, they have done a good job tonight.
Well, you come away from a game like this as a coach, everybody's happy, you're pleased. The real thing you want to guard against is overconfidence. Candelaria with the carry. Clock continues to run. Quite frankly, I appreciate the strategy right now of the West Torrance coaching staff. Let's keep the clock moving. The outcome no longer in doubt. Of course, the outcome hasn't been in doubt for a long, long time tonight, Dave.
Max Muscle. That's not his name. His real name is Mike Witt. Obviously, he spent some time in the weight room, but you will see him here on campus in the weight room with his players. Very dedicated, Mike Witt, this year. Trying to continue the success of his mentor, Don Markham, of 1 year ago. Oh, there's your first sack of the night. Forward progress stopped. And the sack committed. Marquise Jones and Grant Roberts in there on the stops. Grant Roberts, the man who finished him off, as you can see. And first sack of the night. And that's kind of surprising, the way they have dominated the ball game. But the reason why there have not been more sacks is because, for the most part, in the second half, even though West Torrance has trailed, they've elected to grind it out and keep it on the ground. So that brings up this fourth down, and Sean Silver, as you can see, who's not had a good job at punt.
High snap, he gets it away though. Kind of short kick starts to take a Leuzinger bounce. It's going to be downed at the 45-yard line. We've got 1:42 left in the contest. On the Bro show, Bro and Lalua actually each having 4 touchdowns tonight, David.
And it's going to look impressive in the statistics and in the paper tomorrow when they read it. And the question here with 2:11 is, can these guys put actually another touchdown on the board?
Of course, Bro with 2 of the big plays, one a 94-yard TD pass in the second quarter from their quarterback, Guerin, and the other in the third quarter, to open the third quarter, as a matter of fact, a 90-yard kickoff return. Now Leuzinger shows yet a new running back. This time it's number 81. We'll go to the program. That's Stephen Singleton. Singleton, a junior in this program.
So they're just emptying the bench, giving everybody a chance to carry. And Steve Singleton says, you got this big line out here, I'll get into the act too. As he takes it off for 10 yards, Moises Aldaco in for his second series at quarterback. David Guerin starting 1 for 1, 94 yards and a touchdown. Not a bad night for him.
Clock continues to run. We're down at 1:15. Leuzinger taking all the time that they can off the clock now. Again, all of these are, and now you'll see the flag indicating delay of game. And of course, that was intentional.
Leuzinger has all 3 timeouts. West Torrance has 1, but I don't think anybody's going to use them at this point. it's set for next week for both of these teams. West Torrance will be playing Hawthorne, and Leuzinger will be at Beverly Hills, and it'll be the Leuzinger-Beverly Hills game we'll have for you.
So they take a knee, and now you're going to get, well, you should have gotten a personal foul there against number 79 for West Torrance.
It's Kyle Maher, the man jumping in late, but they will elect to look the other way, put the flag in the pocket.
That's the old unabated call, actually, because what happens is if the quarterback takes a knee, of course, we also remember Dan Marino with that play faking the knee, scoring a TD. So some defenses tend to get a little skittish about that particular play.
I believe that's going to be the last play, Rufus.
And with 21 seconds left, boy, it sure looks like that's it for tonight's contest. Well, I shouldn't say that's it. The clock is running down under 10. The crowd certainly knows that the end result is no longer in doubt. And as they start to head to the middle of the field, Leuzinger decides, we won't run any more plays. West Torrance says thank you, we appreciate it. And as we prepare for our wrap-up, Dave, let's tell the fans a little of what we saw tonight as our final. Leuzinger 60, West Torrance 15. We'll check the record books, fan, to see where that 60-point stands. I know from my vantage point, it's certainly the most points I've seen the Olympians put on the board in the last 13 years of covering Leuzinger football. And needless to say, a big, big night. Leuzinger ups their record now to 2-3 on the season, 1-1 in Bay League competition. The Warriors of West Torrance fall to 1-4, 0-2 in Bay League competition. Ronnie Bro, 4 touchdowns. Lalua also with 4 touchdowns, and a host of 2-point conversions by Victor McClendon. Makes it a final of 60-15. Dave, your thoughts? Leuzinger decides, we won't run any more plays. West Torrance says thank you, we appreciate it. And as we prepare for our wrap-up, Dave, let's tell the fans a little of what we saw tonight as our final. Leuzinger 60, West Torrance 15. We'll check the record books, fan, to see where that 60-point stands. I know from my vantage point, it's certainly the most points I've seen the Olympians put on the board in the last 13 years of covering Leuzinger football. And needless to say, a big, big night. Leuzinger ups their record now to 2-3 on the season, 1-1 in Bay League competition. The Warriors of West Torrance fall to 1-4, 0-2 in Bay League competition. Ronnie Bro, 4 touchdowns. Lalua also with 4 touchdowns, and a host of 2-point conversions by Victor McClendon. Makes it a final of 60-15. Dave, your thoughts, please.
I think the most important stat, the second one you mentioned in terms of the record, 1-1 in the Bay League, that's really what counts toward getting Leuzinger back into the postseason if they're going to make it. There were some key questions coming into tonight's ball game that I think were answered somewhat in terms of the ability for Leuzinger to do certain things. Running was his strength. They showed that tonight. They did not make the big penalties, holdings, or clips. They had a little sloppy second quarter, but when the game was very much on the line, they did well. They did not make mistakes, shoot themselves in the foot, so to speak. Defensively, the question coming in was on the secondary giving up the home run ball, and that being a disaster coming into the ball game tonight. Despite the first drive, and if you throw that drive out, taking it away on a big spectacular catch made by Amin Nassuf, who was a key receiver, the only receiver tonight for West Torrance, they had a very successful night from the secondary. So I think some questions were answered. The only thing that remains to be answered is how a team like Leuzinger will do against, shall we say, a higher quality opponent. Certainly next week on the road at Beverly Hills is going to be a test. You can never underestimate an opponent like Beverly Hills, although they are somewhat rebuilding. And then, of course, you look down the road, they've got teams like Peninsula coming up. They lost to Miracosta last week, which is a big game, but they will be tested before the year is over, and this is one they needed to get under their belts tonight, and they did get it.
And successfully so. We're waiting for our sideline reporter, Ken Fine, who's trying to set up a interview, I believe, with Coach Mike Witt. Looks like that's about to come together, and as we wait for it to come together, we see the Leuzinger Olympians down on the field celebrating their blowout victory tonight by a score of 60-15. Ken looks like he's got a couple of subjects for his interview. So I think we're just about ready. Looks like he's got Bro down there. Help me out, Dave, with who else? Of course, he'll introduce him.
Well, once they do finally get everything together down there on the field, looks like he's got George Cooley, Ronnie Bro, and Mafua.
Now, let's go down to Ken Fine sideline with a couple of the stars of tonight's contest. Ken, take it away. Okay, we're having a technical problem right now. They're saying we don't have audio. We're still working on that. We do want to get those interviews in.
We've got picture. Nope. We've got a nice little picture there, and hopefully we will be able to get Ken back up, because looks like they had some interesting things to say to it here as we make the effort on Channel 22, Lawndale.
Of course, tell them to fake it. They need to practice.
But as you can see with the scoreboard and the flame burning brightly there in the background, they ran it up tonight, not running it up literally in terms of rubbing it in the other team's face, but they're able to keep it on the ground and do very well, going to the strength of their attack tonight. So that's why they come out and even their record in the Bay League at 1-1, and they're going to be at 2-3 overall.
So it looks like we've got our audio problems worked out. Ken, we're back with you, buddy.
I'm down here on the field with two of the top players of tonight. They did a great job, a fine job. I've got George Cooley on my right, and I've got Ronnie Bro, if I pronounce it right, number 3. Ronnie, how was that pass that you caught? It was a 91-yard TD pass. How did you feel? What were you thinking when you came in and popped that and caught that pass?
Well, I mean, you know, it felt real good. It just, the man came after, when I was getting to run, the man came and I just burned him and caught the pass. It was a good pass by the quarterback. The O-line did a very good job of pass blocking. You know.
Well, I'll have to say that was a spectacular catch. I saw it from the sideline, and it just basically went right into your hands, and then you took off. Were you dashing for the end zone like a rocket?
Man, I'll just work hard, man. I'll just give it up to God and my coaches, man. You know, just running very, very hard. You know, they hard on us in the weight room, and when we practicing, we had to practice real, real hard this week to get that win.
Okay, and I'm going to go over here to another man. He's done a great job as an outside linebacker. He had 6 sacks tonight, powered in, and I guess, what's your nickname?
The Rock.
I mean, this guy literally is a mean machine. So how did you feel? What did you see on the field that really gave you the incentive to play the game you played tonight?
Well, actually, it wasn't on the field. It was from the outside fans and my coach pumping us up and giving us push-ups that we don't want to do next week. And plus, we have the love of God and the love of my family and of our team, my family, that gives us the power to do what I got to do.
Okay, I thank you, and we're going to take it back up to the two guys you've heard all night, and we'll see you next week.
Hey, you guys,
and I thank these two
down,
players.
Please.
All righty, thank you, fans. As we put the closing wrap on it again, a fine interview there by Ken Fine with Bro and Cooley, two of the stars from this game. Cooley on the defensive side, Bro on the offensive side with the 4 touchdowns. Let us remind you once again that our coverage will take us next week to Beverly Hills High as the Leuzinger Olympians take on the Normans. So we want you to join us again next week. For all the people here at Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22, of course, our executive producer, Tom Strickfaden. On camera, Ali Santana, Mr. Jose Bravo, Joe Shawa, and some new folks that we're breaking in this year. So we want you to join us again, and we'll get them all in. For Dave Marks and everybody else on the crew at Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22, this is Rufus Washington saying good night, and we'll see you next week. Thanks
Good night,
a lot.
everybody.